Throughout the annals of human civilization, the exercise of power has often relied on more than mere authority. Rulers across diverse cultures and epochs have consistently employed fear as a foundational element of governance. This pervasive strategy underscores a fundamental understanding of human psychology. Fear, in its various manifestations, served as an exceptionally potent tool for maintaining control over vast populations. It provided a reliable mechanism to ensure stability, albeit often at a great human cost. The manipulation of this primal emotion was rarely accidental. The primary purpose of fear manipulation was to suppress any form of dissent that might challenge the established order. By instilling a pervasive sense of apprehension, rulers could preemptively quell opposition. This tactic ensured that potential rebels thought twice before acting. Furthermore, fear was instrumental in enforcing unwavering obedience to authority. When the consequences of defiance were perceived as severe and inevitable, compliance became the most rational choice for the populace. This created a docile and manageable society. Ultimately, the strategic deployment of fear served to solidify the ruler's power, making their position seem unassailable. It created an environment where the leader's will was paramount and unquestioned. This reinforced the hierarchy of power. The core mechanism of fear-based control involved a sophisticated manipulation of emotions. This process was often subtle, multifaceted, and deeply ingrained in the fabric of society. It targeted the very psychological well-being of individuals. This manipulation deliberately cultivated a pervasive sense of anxiety within the populace. Citizens were made to feel that danger lurked, either from external forces or internal threats, requiring constant vigilance and reliance on the state. This kept people on edge. Concurrently, rulers deliberately fostered a profound sense of insecurity among their subjects. By undermining individual confidence and collective trust, they ensured that people looked to the state for protection and stability, rather than questioning its methods. This dependence was crucial. One of the most prevalent and effective tactics for instilling fear was the identification or outright creation of an enemy. This externalized threat provided a convenient scapegoat for societal problems and a rallying point for national unity. The enemy was a powerful narrative device. This enemy could manifest as an external threat, such as a neighboring nation with perceived hostile intentions. Such a narrative justified military buildup and demanded unwavering loyalty from the citizenry. It fostered a sense of collective vulnerability. Alternatively, the enemy could be an internal threat, targeting a minority group, a religious sect, or political opposition. These internal adversaries were often depicted as subversive elements undermining the state from within. This created deep societal divisions. The portrayal of this enemy was consistently as dangerous, inherently evil, and an existential threat to the nation's survival. This dehumanization made it easier to justify harsh measures against them. It stripped the enemy of any moral standing. Under the guise of protecting the populace from this formidable enemy, rulers justified harsh measures. These included extensive surveillance, strict censorship, and even overt violence against perceived threats. Such actions were presented as necessary for security. This constant narrative of an omnipresent enemy fostered a pervasive climate of suspicion and paranoia. Citizens were encouraged to distrust their neighbors and report any perceived disloyalty. This eroded social cohesion and trust. Ultimately, the presence of a common enemy increased individual conformity and significantly reduced the questioning of authority. People were less likely to challenge leaders when they believed the nation was under threat. Unity became paramount over critical thought. Propaganda and censorship played a crucial symbiotic role in shaping public perception and maintaining control. They were the twin pillars of information management in fear-based regimes. These tools molded reality for the masses. Controlling the flow of information was paramount to ensuring the dominant narrative remained unchallenged. Rulers meticulously managed what their citizens saw, heard, and read. This created an information vacuum around alternative viewpoints. Through state-controlled channels, carefully crafted narratives were disseminated to reinforce the legitimacy of the ruler and their policies. These stories often glorified the leader and demonized any opposition. They painted a picture of unwavering strength. Opponents were systematically demonized through state-controlled information outlets. Their motives were questioned, their actions distorted, and their characters assassinated in the public sphere. This made dissent seem unpatriotic or dangerous. This manipulation utilized biased news reports, state-sponsored art, and public pronouncements to shape collective thought. Every medium was harnessed to convey the desired message. The state became the sole arbiter of truth. The ultimate goal was to manipulate public opinion to foster unwavering unity and loyalty to the regime. By presenting a unified front against perceived threats, rulers solidified their base of support. This created a powerful sense of national purpose. Crucially, this system involved the systematic silencing of dissenting voices and the suppression of alternative viewpoints. Any information that contradicted the official narrative was swiftly removed or discredited. This ensured ideological purity. This comprehensive control ensured that the dominant narrative, often heavily laced with fear-mongering, remained unchallenged. The populace was left with no credible alternative perspectives. This created a closed information ecosystem. The use of force and the ever-present threat of violence were fundamental to maintaining control in fear-based regimes. These were the ultimate enforcers of obedience. The state's monopoly on violence was absolute. This application of force ranged from subtle intimidation, often carried out by secret police or intelligence agencies, to brutal suppression of open rebellions. The spectrum of coercion was broad and adaptable. The state's reach was extensive. The constant presence of armed forces, whether visible in public spaces or implied through military parades, served as a powerful deterrent. It was a stark reminder of the state's capacity for overwhelming power. This projected an image of invincibility. Arbitrary application of laws and the public execution of perceived enemies served as chilling examples. These acts were not merely punitive, but performative, designed to instill terror. They were spectacles of state power. Such displays served as stark reminders of the severe consequences of disobedience. They etched into the public consciousness the price of defiance. This created a powerful psychological barrier against resistance. Ultimately, these tactics created a pervasive climate of fear that actively discouraged any form of resistance. Individuals prioritized their own survival and the safety of their families above all else. This fostered a culture of self-preservation. Beyond direct coercion, rulers often exploited economic vulnerabilities to control populations. Economic leverage proved to be a powerful, insidious form of control. It created dependence on the state. This involved controlling essential resources, employment opportunities, and access to basic goods. By dictating the means of survival, the state made itself indispensable to its citizens. This created a captive workforce. The threat of poverty, starvation, or the loss of livelihood became a powerful motivator for obedience. People were less likely to challenge a system that held their very existence in its hands. Economic security became conditional on loyalty. Rulers skillfully used this economic leverage to manipulate the population and ensure compliance with their directives. Economic rewards were often tied to political loyalty, while dissent could lead to destitution. This created a system of patronage and punishment. The use of fear as a tool of control is not a relic of a bygone era. It is a recurring and persistent theme throughout human history. Its methods may evolve, but its underlying principles remain constant. This historical pattern offers crucial lessons. Understanding these historical tactics is therefore crucial for recognizing and resisting such manipulations in the contemporary world. Vigilance against the subtle and overt deployment of fear remains an essential civic duty. We must learn from the past to safeguard the future.